Beginning ODO podcast in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the ODO podcast, where normal is not my specialty. I am your host, as always, the way too much shit going on. Adam Higgins, the Odd Dad Out. You can find me at oddadoutpodcast.com and at Odd Dad Out on all the social medias. You can find me, you know what to do, and this is a show where I ramble and rant and empty out my brain and tell you about whatever the hell is going on in my head, and I tell you about a podcast that you should be listening to because I just like sharing things. I am an oversharer, I guess. Could you say that? I don't know. Maybe you could say that. Maybe that is what the entire show is. It's just me being an oversharer. I don't know. But what about you? How are you doing out there? I realize, I'm probably throwing you off because I've been so inconsistent with release dates the whole month, really. And it's kind of funny, but I think there's a few things you could say. Why has the show been coming on different days? And, then last week announcing kind of the format shift and dropping the news. And a lot of it just comes down to I'm busy. I'm busy. And for some reason, there's just something about, since we've been in this house, I think it's because my office is so far away from the rest of the house, and I've kind of said before, when you first walk in the front door, my office is the very first room right there. And then you have to walk down the front entryway through the kitchen and past the living room, and the bedrooms are all back towards the other side of the house. And even the living room is probably a good 20 feet down from the front entryway. Got even more than that. I don't even know. But it's a long way. It is a good long distance from my office to the kind of rest of the house. And so I find it more difficult, and not more difficult, but it takes a more deliberate effort to come back to the office and sit and work and record and get things done, which is kind of funny considering that, as doing editing work, I do have to actually come out here. I need to come in here and I need to sit down and work. But for sitting down and recording the podcast or whatever, compared to my old office space, which was basically my desk and studio stuff was all set up in my bedroom. And, it's no big deal. Go from, the living room, go into the bedroom. And if I'm in the bedroom, it's I don't know, it's different. It is a really different vibe having a designated office space apart from the rest of the house that is mine, for one, but also it's not used in some other thing. So it's really kind of weird that I'll go, nobody else comes to my office. The only other time somebody will come into my office, if they're not coming to get me, is if the boys are using the shower in here, because it's just easier to have them all taking showers at the same time, because we can do that now. Yeah. That's it for the most part. It's hey, somebody or one of the boys hey, Charlie's in our bathroom. Can I use yours in the office? Okay. That's about it. Nobody comes in my office. Realistically, nobody has any reason to. There's really nothing in here for anybody but me. It's all my stuff. And, but yeah, I find it more difficult. I don't know, just mentally, I guess, just to come into the office, sit down. And it's weird, walk all the way from the living room, walk all the way up to the front of the house, up to my office, walk, come in, close the door, walk all the way around my desk, sit down, get positioned. I don't know why. This seems like when I word it like that, like, oh my God, it's so much work. It's so hard. I gotta go. Oh, that's so far. And so, all that shit. I mean, yeah, it's not difficult, but when you say it like that, it's like, oh my God, it's the most difficult thing in the world. I can't believe I'm walking so far. No, but I don't know. There's like a mental thing about it. Going so far, just to come and sit down. Never mind that it seems like still in this first couple of months of new house that we're still got so much stuff going on and still trying to make the house our own. Like, even after I'm done with this, I need to go hang up a bunch of kind of, not posters, but like our calendars and like a dry erase board and a cork board and some stuff like that. Just kind of, and like mail, kind of little shelving for the mail and all that stuff, just for organizational purposes. Because, we've always had a dry erase calendar and it was like magnetic and we stuck it on the fridge. And that was we have one of the side-by-side refrigerators now. And so our refrigerator space is at a premium. We don't have a lot of door space to work with, but also it's just really cluttered. And we wanted to clean it up and make it look not so cluttered. And so Rihanna ordered these things that they're like, dry erase calendars, and there's a weekly calendar and a monthly calendar and just a notes area and a cork board so that we could stick all the little notices and coupons or all the things that we normally would just magnet to the fridge. We'd stick those to it. And so we'd get all that. And so we have kind of set up this little space on the wall because we've got so much damn wall space. We got to do something with it. And so we're putting that up, or after I'm done with this, I need to put that up. And so that's what we're doing. And clear the fridge because we got this nice shiny stainless steel refrigerator that is completely covered in papers and magnets. And I will admit, the magnets are all my doing because they're all podcast magnets. But still, and I may move them in here. I don't know. I don't have a magnetic surface in here. Maybe I need to get one. Maybe I need to get like a magnetic board or something that I can put magnets on. I don't know. But, the fridge is covered in papers and stuff right now. And so we're making this thing and putting this thing up so that we have that. It'll be nice. And I'm putting in a cork board, probably sit behind me at my desk here so that if I ever do video stuff, that behind me you'll see my nice cork board full of stickers and things from podcasts, because my old laptop that I used to use that was covered in magnets is magnets. God, don't cover your laptop in magnets. Bad idea. But it was covered in all of my podcast stickers. Well, now that's the one the boys use for homework. And I kind of adopted my wife's other laptop, but I really don't use it much because for the most part, most of what I do is back here in the office. And so, yeah, I need a place to put stickers and magnets and stuff. And so I got a nice big cork board that's going to go behind me and be nice and put all the stickers and things up. But all that, but we're doing all that. Meanwhile, the saga of the landscaping continues because guess what? I finally found a landscaper. He finally found somebody that wasn't going to charge an arm and a leg and maybe, an extra arm to come out and install the grass. Because fuck, I could not believe. It seemed like every time another guy came out here to give us a quote, it was higher than the last one. And the last guy that I talked to was going to be $7,600 to do less than anybody else. I'm like, what the fuck? How is this grass? It's grass and rocks. How the fuck is this so expensive? And I realized, you're putting in an irrigation system. Okay, yeah. But that's just digging a trench and some PVC pipe, gluing it together. It's not the most complicated thing. Like, why didn't I do it? I didn't have all the tools or the time. Again, I'm completely capable of having installed my entire lawn by myself. Could have done it. Didn't have time. Didn't have I needed a few tools. But really, I just didn't have time to do it. That's the vast majority of it. I just didn't have time. And so I'm very happy now. I found a guy, and, with everybody I talked to before, it was like, okay, yeah, it's assuming that, yeah, we were going to end up just sucking it up and paying $6,000 to somebody. Like, okay, well, it's half up front, and that'll get you on the schedule for us to come out, and then the other half when we're done. Like, all right, so I got to put up $3,000 just so that you can put me on the books. And then the other half, once you're done, fine after you're done. But, right now I'm booked for about a month and a half. So it'll be about mid-March when we can come out and do it. So I got to give you $3,000 to not do shit for a month and a half? The fuck? And after all of this, and we're just like, I'm just so aggravated. I was seriously about, and I said it last week, I was seriously about to just buy a fucking bunch of seed and rake up my yard and fucking plant seed because it was so much of a pain in the ass. So much of a pain in the ass just dealing with all this. I just wanted a fucking yard. I just wanted a yard with grass so that the dog is not covered in mud all the time, so that the boys can go out and play in the yard and enjoy having this yard, that we have this great big space and they can't play out there because it's a mud pit. We wanted grass. That's it. And I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to get a bunch of fucking seed and seed the yard. And in a few months, I'll have fucking grass, and I'll deal with sprinklers or whatever later and just do it myself when I have to do it. But we had a card. It was like one of those, like, new neighborhood, tons of new houses. And so they just fucking paper the neighborhood with, we get cards for landscapers, painters. Like, why are you going to make us paint? This is a brand new house. The paint on this house is like less than a year old. But yeah, painters, solar companies, landscapers, all the things. We get those calls or those cards and flyers and stuff stuck on the door all the time. And one of them we had very early on was for a landscaper, and on it had a bunch of little kind of deals, and it was like, here's the Arizona package, where it's just rock and desert shrubbery and the drip line system for it, and another one that was, but at the very bottom, it was like house of grass, and it was like 15 tons of rock or whatever it is, but it's like a bunch of rock, 600 square feet of grass, and the stone pavers to act as kind of a border, and the irrigation system. And that was the bit. It was like, so the irrigation system, grass, rocks, and the border for less than $3,000. And we're like, get that, whatever that. And it also had a tree and a bunch of shrubs. And we're like, well, I don't need the shrubs, but we do want a lemon tree. It's like, okay, so one tree and next to shrubs, but we needed more rock than the thing included, and blah, 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 blah. So I meet with the guy, and I called him Thursday. Friday morning, I talked to him. So I called to set up an appointment Thursday. Friday morning, I talked to him, and it's like, all right, we're good. This is the deal. I'm good with this. If you can do it at that price, go for it. I'm good to start now. And by Friday afternoon, I get a call. Hey, yeah, we can start Monday morning. And the whole thing, like, even when I was talking to him on Friday, he was like, yeah, I can have you started by next week. I was like, shit, go. Right. I was like, I'm not waiting 2 months. I was like, okay, good. Monday. I was like, and it wasn't even Monday at that point. It was like, he has a couple other things at the beginning of the week, but by the end of the week, I'll be in here by the end of the week. And then I get a call that afternoon. He was like, hey, I can be there 8:00 Monday. I had another job, but I canceled it because getting you guys going is more important. And for every other job, everybody else that I've dealt with, they were saying it was basically going to be about a week, like a week of work. Like, okay, we're just going to have to come in. We're going to cut this up. Like, they're going to spend an entire day just doing the irrigation system, and an entire day I don't even know if any of them actually had paver borders, but just to do the rock, and then an entire day to treat, to prep the ground, and an entire day just to lay sod. And I know for a fact that's bullshit, because my yard ain't that big. Laying rock is literally just wheelbarrow shovels. That's it. It's no big deal. Pavers take a little time, especially depending on how you install them, if you're going to cement them in or what you're going to do. Not that much work. Now, maybe if it was one dude the entire time, that might take a week. But if you're a landscape company, you're sending a few guys out because you can get the job done fast. So I kind of knew that was a little bit bullshit saying it was going to take a week to do my yard, but whatever. Well, he comes in, he's like, yeah, I can be there Monday. All right. 8:00 Monday. I'm sitting here. And here's the thing. I mentioned that this is a brand new smart house and all insulated to shit and all that. So one of the things about the house is that you really don't hear shit outside unless you're next to a window. You really don't get like almost any sound transmission into the house unless you're next to a window. And even there, it's severely reduced. And so I'm like, shit, they're not here yet. And Monday's the day I got to take the boys into school because they start late. And I'm leaving like 8:15. I'm like, shit, they're not here yet. And it's like, okay, I'm just going to leave a note on the door when we go. And so I come into the office to sit down, grab a little notepad and a pen, and I'm going to write a note. And I start hearing some noise through the window right behind me. And I realize, oh, they're already here. Oh shit, their truck's blocking me. I need to go talk to them. But I'm like, oh shit, they're already here. And they've unloaded all their stuff already. It's like, wait a second, it's 8:10. They're completely unloaded. And then I go look in the back and realize they're already trenching the backyard. Like they've been here for a while and have already gotten to work. And I didn't even realize they were here. Yay, really well insulated sound house thing. But yeah, they were already at work. They were already to work. I'm like, oh, hey, I just need to move. I need to go pick up or take the kids to school. I'll be like 30 minutes. But go ahead and they move the truck and get all their stuff unloaded and get on their way. I get back, half the yard's trenched out for the irrigation system. They've already got all the PVC and everything laid out where it's going to go along the trenches. Everything's, got the strings up and staked off for them to cut the irrigation system. And they, again, going to the insulation, apparently the back portion of the wall and down the side of the house where they had to do the, run the lines out to the water to connect it to the main line and all that. Apparently that actually, the ground was so hard, they had to use a jackhammer to cut through the ground. It was like, again, go outside. Like if I'm standing next to the door watching the guy with the jackhammer, I'm like, man, that's kind of loud, but it's, still like just you notice the noise outside. Not a big deal. It's like, oh, there's something noisy going on outside. Sounds like a jackhammer. You go outdoor, like open the door and step outside and you can't hear anything but jackhammer. It was like, I need earplugs loud. I'm like, wait, holy shit, the insulation's good. But in that first day, and from 8 a.m. till about 2 p.m. So, and they took a lunch break even. So like, that's 8 to 2 is 6 hours. So in 5 hours, because they took like an hour for lunch. So in like 5 hours, especially using a jackhammer, they trenched out the yard, built and buried the irrigation system, laid out and cemented. That was the thing. It was like, holy shit, they're cementing this in, and cemented the entire border perimeter between the rock and the grass area, and built a paver walkway from the patio to the yard so that we don't have to cross rock. We can just walk across the paver. Like, oh, that's nice. And so built a little paver path into the yard. All this by 2. Oh, and they had the rock laid out. So they had all the rock, basically everything but the grass and the lemon tree done by 2:00 on the first day. And then come Tuesday morning, he was like, and I talked to the guy. He was like, oh yeah, your grass will be here tomorrow. You'll be good. When I left to go to pick up boys up from after school, they had wrapped up for the day. All the rock was out. The only thing left was the tree and the grass. I go out there and, I leave like 2-ish because they get out of school about 2:45. And so it's like 2:30. I leave. I come back after taking them to school or picking them up from school. I don't know if I'm coming or going or whatever it is, but I come back and the grass has been delivered. So we come back home to a pallet or a couple of pallets of sod sitting in the front yard. Like, oh shit. Okay. good. Oh, and that's nice grass, nice and good, healthy grass. Great, looks great. And first thing, Tuesday morning, they come up, they start clearing the ground, get all their rest of their stuff out of the way, and start rolling sod. And by 11 o'clock on Tuesday, everything is done. They've calibrated their sprinkler system. They've planted the lemon tree, run everything to the timer. I've tested it. I've scheduled the watering schedule for the grass into the app for the because I've got the stupid Wi-Fi super smart, timer for the sprinklers. All that's done. It's like 11 o'clock. Done. Day and a half. Not even a day and a half. I think if you totaled it up, it was 8 hours. Like, had they done a full 8 hours on Monday, they could have done everything. Had they gone a full 8 hours, like 8 to 5 or 6, they would have had everything done Monday by like 6 o'clock had they just run the day. Because the grass showed up. But that's how fast is like, shit. You know? Like, these guys just knocked it the fuck out. And oh yeah, it cost me half of what everybody else was going to charge me. These guys powered through everything in a day, and it cost me half of what all those other companies were going to charge me, and in like a quarter of the time. So I'm very happy with the yard. Can you tell? We're so happy, and it looks great. And we got so much. I think it was a little bit more than originally the deal, because I said I want as much grass as possible. So however much you can get back there, do it. Like, if it's going to cost a little bit more, I don't care. Go ahead and get it. And so it's like an extra $300. So it's like a little over $3,000 for everything, for almost 2,000 square foot yard. Because we actually have a really big yard, especially with like the side yard, like the side of the house and all that stuff. And it's actually a really big space. And we got like somewhere around 1,000 square feet of grass and a nice little lemon tree. Everything looks great. I'm super, super happy. And it is exactly what we wanted. And for far less than what we would have had to pay anybody else. So super happy. And so if you are in Phoenix and in need of a landscaper, I know a guy and I will let you know. I'm not going to advertise him right here because I don't know. That'd be weird because my audience isn't all, here in Phoenix. But if you are in Phoenix and you need a landscaper, I know a guy. Anyway. You know how sometimes you just get pestered with things and you just like, no, I'm not interested. And I've had this, and I've talked about this with Candy Crush. And granted, Candy Crush was, my wife started playing Candy Crush again, much like she occasionally will turn Pokemon Go back on. And so she was playing Candy Crush and got me back into playing Candy Crush, which I thought I'd given up, but apparently not. And eventually I did like, fuck it. And I deleted it from my phone, much like I deleted Pokemon Go from my phone, primarily because it wasn't even my game. It was me playing her game and collecting shit for her because I'm out all night. Like, hey, well, you're on your way. Can you stop here and here and here and here and here? But yeah, that sort of shit. But I no longer have Pokemon Go or Candy Crush on my phone. But there is a new mobile game. And I guess it's not really that new because when I started Googling it, apparently they already have toys. But Best Fiends. I have heard about this. I've heard it advertised. I was listening to Myths and Legends. He'd been advertising Best Fiends for a while. The Box of Oddities has been advertising it for a while. And I've been hearing about this game on podcasts. And I'm like, it's really hard to advertise a mobile game because it's a completely visual thing. Like, if you can't see the game, then like, it's really hard to sell a game. But I was like, whatever. Like, I'm kind of tired of hearing these ads for this game, but whatever. Sometimes, it's like tired of hearing HelloFresh ads and a lot of podcast ads are the same companies. There's a handful of them that just advertise fucking everywhere. But I was like, okay, whatever. In one ear, out the other when it came to Best Fiends. But I was sitting just scrolling through Instagram, and I was like, you get some of those ads where it's like, oh, it's a puzzle game, or you're supposed to kill the goblin, not the warrior, or whatever, and there's dragonfire, whatever. And it's like, oh, you got to move the things or shit, whatever. And you get those game ads and things on Instagram and Facebook. And I was scrolling through, and I was like, I saw one of them, and it was one of those playable ads, so where you can sit there and kind of play through it a bit to see what's going on with the game. And I was like, oh. And I don't remember exactly how it was going, but I looked at it and I was like, oh, and it's like showing, oh, you just draw a line and connect the dots and Like, oh, cool. I was like, hey, okay, let me try this game then. Let me play this. I had no clue what it was. I was sitting there just playing this little puzzle game where you just connect those, like, oh, there's leaves and there's mushrooms and strawberries, and you just like, okay, just connect, you like make a chain, not like with Candy Crush, we're like, oh, swipe to, match, kind of like Tetris or whatever. Like to connect the groups, it's draw a chain. And so if you can sit there and draw a line and connect the chain of 25 leaves or whatever that spans half of the screen, great, you can do that. And you got to get a little bit creative. Like, oh, I can't reach this one right there. I've got to go back and go at this one like an angle, and then come back and zigzag and do whatever to cover to get as much as you want, and to clear the board. And also you're doing this. And I was like, okay, fine. I'll play this. This is kind of fun. To go ahead and download the game. What is it? If you haven't already figured it out, it's Best Fiends. And I was like, oh shit. So this is that game that everybody's been fucking talking about. This is that game that every podcast has been advertising. And I'm like, this is kind of cool. Okay. Oh shit. You get all these you like collect these little characters and you upgrade them. And it's like, so it's the puzzle games thing. And it's also like an adventure quest thing. And so you like, and you have to, there's strategy to it and puzzle to it. And like, I was like, oh, this is nifty. And of course, because all these fucking games connect to your Facebook. And so next thing you know, you are, racing and competing against your Facebook friends. And you look and you're like, oh shit, Donna's 3 levels ahead of me. I need to get through this. And, and they're back and forth and sitting there playing leapfrog as you're back and forth passing each other because you play at different times a day. But like sitting there chasing down your friends who are playing the game and upgrading your characters and collecting more, cause you can like collect all of these different little fiends and you can upgrade them and upgrade their, because they all have hit points and special powers, and you upgrade their powers and their hits, and you're fighting slugs and collecting, like gold and diamonds and all the, and there's rocket launchers and bombs and all this sort of crazy stuff. But all these things that you do, and it's like half puzzle game, half adventure game. And I was like, fuck, now I'm stuck. God damn it. Now I'm sucked into this game. Like, son of a bitch. Like, damn it. This is why I got rid of Candy Crush, but I still fucking play it. I'm still playing. And like, granted, it's only been about a week. Well, I guess if I look at my little thing, it's been about 2 weeks. So I've been playing this for about 2 weeks now. And it's really fun. And there's a lot going, and it's one of those things. It's like when you'll hit a string, like build a chain where you like clear like half the board, and you get boosts and like, oh, it's a double hit points because this or whatever, and you're fighting these giant slugs, and like you get the maximum, like a double bonus because your chain is that long, and it's like slug-tastic. And the boys have learned all of the different, like all the different bonus things and the things that the game will say, and like just all this stuff. And they're appreciating, they're especially Damien and Sam really like watching me play. And I guess because Damien was home sick last week while I was, I'd be sitting here playing, and he got kind of sucked into it and wanted to figure it out. And so Sam and Damien are especially interested, I guess. They're invested in this game because they've seen me play it more than anybody else. But yeah, I've fucking got it. This is my downtime thing, which I probably should be being more productive rather than playing a stupid game. But this is my relaxed, and it's not even a turn your brain off because you got to really strategize these fucking games. But sitting there and figuring it out, and it's fun. It's just fun. And so I'm greatly appreciating the game, and I've actually managed to, I've unlocked like, I don't know, 12, I didn't even fucking look. I'm not going to open my phone to do it, but I think I've got 12 or 15 or something characters and unlocked a couple special outfits and shit like that. And they're upgraded up and blah, blah, blah. But doing the things right now, I've spent the last 2 days on the same boss fight because, you know, I suck, but it's fun. And that I like these games and I hate them because they're so fucking addictive and you get all sucked into it. And the only thing I can say is the best thing I can say about this game is that it's not one of, as much as they're like, oh yeah, they want to sucker you in with the microtransactions. They want you to buy VIP time and buy gold bars and things to upgrade your character. They want you to buy that. All the games want you to buy that. And they have, you know, special outfits and things like that so that you can put on your different characters to where like you can make one guy look like Batman or you can make another one look like a detective. Or I think I've got a mosquito, I think right now. And he's dressed up, like in like a scuba outfit or something, whatever. But you can, and you get upgrades and special things when you have the different outfits and blah, blah, blah. And most of the time you have to buy those. And they're like, oh yeah, you want this? It's 50 gold bars. Well, most of the time you have to buy gold bars, but you don't have to. You do win them in game. They're just the hardest thing. Like you got to complete like a long stretch of whatever to win gold bars. But you may also just find outfits. And like, there's like every level you get keys and you unlock chests and like you can just happen to unlock new characters. You can just happen to unlock new outfits and you may just happen to unlock more keys or more gold bars or whatever. And you may just, you know, you can play the game and upgrade the game. And like, it's just slower going than if you pay. If you pay, then you get the things and you can upgrade the things and you can pay all the extra to have all the extra bonus bits so that you can upgrade everybody, or you can just fucking play the game and play and play and play and earn the points and earn the gold and earn the things so that you can upgrade your characters. Personally, that's me. I'm not about to spend any money on a mobile game. I'll play the game and I'll play the game like stupid amounts of time to get to do the things. But I'm not going to spend any money on it, even if it's like, oh, $3 and I buy 50 gold and I can do this and this and this and upgrade all my characters. No, I'm not spending the money. Fuck it. I don't need microtransactions on a mobile game. But you know what? It's still a fun fucking game. It's still fun. And it's still frustrating when you sit there and you've been dragging your finger across the screen and being all super tricky and like, I get this. And then, you get all the way to the end of your thing and you realize, oh shit, it's not going to kill the slug. I've only got 2 moves left and this isn't going to do it. And you have to backtrack your finger the whole way so that you don't, fuck it up and accidentally spend your, waste your turn on a move that wasn't going to work. Or, oh, I thought I could get to here with that, or it's not going to work, whatever. And you have to like sit there and carefully backtrack and follow the chain all the way back before you waste your turn. Or, you know, your 4-year-old just reaches over and goes swipe and wastes a turn in the middle of a boss fight. And now you didn't win because you didn't, you know, he strung 3 together when it could have been 15. But, you know, it happens. But it's a fun game. And I'm not sitting here trying to sell you on this game. Just the fact that I've been stuck playing this thing for 2 weeks. It's like, why? Because I tell you what's going on in my head. And right now my head is full of little bug creatures and salamanders and things that are flinging strawberries at giant slugs. But it's a fun game. And so if you're like a Candy Crush type of person and you like those kind of puzzle games, it's worth a play. Personally, I enjoy this far more than Candy Crush. It's far less aggravating than Candy Crush. And I think more because the little character things and the and all that. And it's fun. And the upgrades. And it takes what's fun about Candy Crush and makes it and improves on it. And yeah, I know it's like all those sort of little block breaker type of puzzle games they're all very similar. But I like this one more so than that one because there's a little more strategy to it. It's less chess, I think. It's more checkers and less chess. Whereas Candy Crush, and I'm not saying Candy Crush is more complicated, but the limited moves and you got to look at your whole screen and like, oh, I've got to do this, then this and this. And when I do this, then this is going to happen. And like, you got to plot 5 moves ahead playing Candy Crush so that you can strategically eliminate lines so that you get to your desired result. Like, oh, I do this, this, this. And then when this falls, then I'm going to be able to have a giant glitter ball or whatever the fuck. You know, oh, then I'll have the striped candy because I do this. Like, well, with this, yeah, you can strategize like that, but it's not necessarily how it's going to play. And clearing the most space is usually in your best interest. So, but anyway, enough about, this is not an advertisement for Candy Crush or any of these games or Best Fiends. Just to say, it's like, I'm not getting a kickback, but shit, as much as I've talked about Best Fiends more than every podcast I've listened to that's mentioned it so far combined. But that's because I just talk about whatever the fuck I'm going to talk about. You're welcome. Or not. But this wasn't an ad, at least in the sense that they're not paying me to say this. It's just some shit that's been going on in my life. Fucking games. Fucking games. I should just delete it. I probably should just delete it. But it is one of those things that, you know, it's fun and the boys enjoy it. And so, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes you just need to play a stupid game that you just get enjoyment out of. I don't know. That's the thing. Okay. Enough about Best Fiends and grass. I'm going to take a break, play some promos, and I will wrap things up with this week's recommended listening feature, the Strength Love Metal podcast.
What's up, guys? This is Gerald and my buddy right across from me, as always,
Andy.
We are Two Peas on a Podcast, and we want to invite you to join us weekly as we discuss. What do we talk about?
We talk about a little bit of everything.
We talk about too much.
Events,
we talk about too
politics,
much
sports. We even talk about sports. We're dudes.
We talk about too much stuff. In fact, don't join us. It's too much. It's too complicated.
I think you're confusing them, Gerald.
We are a weekly podcast discussing current events, pop culture, hot topics.
Hot. The topics are hot.
Not the retail store, just Hot Topics. Although,
I used to love. That was a great store.
If anything happened at Hot Topic, we would discuss that as well.
You want to get you a black Metallica shirt and some studded earrings?
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But my name is Gerald and my buddy Andy, and you can catch us on Two Peas on a Podcast. Please go to our website. It's twopeasonapod.com.
Check it out.
Check us out on Twitter at Two Peas on a Pod and subscribe via iTunes or Google Play. We hope to hear you listening. We can't do that though, can we?
No, we can do. We can hear them listening.
We hope to see that you listened via our stats or whatever.
We're everywhere.
But check us out. Two Peas on a Podcast, guys.
Do you love role-playing or tabletop games? Do you love Monster of the Week shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Supernatural? Do you wish you could find a podcast that combines all of those things? Well, look no further. Thornvale is a narrative-driven actual play podcast following 3 monster hunters as they fight to keep a small town in Florida safe from the creatures that threaten it. It's full of action. So do you actually say that?
Yes, I'm actually going to say that. I'll be like, I'll distract him, you get him. And so I'm going to try...
Okay, Bjorn, how are you going to get him? Comedy.
I just got this image in my head, now this is me, not Sammy, of this dragon that was collecting materials for a chicken farm.
And truly awful dice rolls.
Nope, another 3. That's my second 3 in a row.
Oh my gosh.
We're killing this thing.
If that sounds like it's up your alley, then look us up wherever you listen to podcasts.
Recommended listening.
How goes it, everybody? It's Coach Raevyn again, and welcome once again to the Strength, Love, Metal podcast. As I just said, this is your host, as always, Raevyn Vanover, ACSM certified personal trainer and CrossFit level 1 coach. And I am quite proud of having those two titles and having those two accomplishments, and also having the degree in exercise science that all of which I worked very, very hard for. And we're going to kind of get into that a little bit today on this episode, in regards to education, who has it, who doesn't, how to spot who has it and who doesn't, and things to look for when selecting a trainer, because there is a lot of misinformation and a lot of bullshit out in fitness land by random people who are not educated and informed, and by fitness professionals who continue to remain uneducated and uninformed. If you're a fan of metal or rock or just music at all, you would have heard that on the 7th of January, Neil Peart, the drummer and lyricist for Rush, lost a 3.5-year battle with brain cancer. He was 67 years old when he passed. So if you couldn't tell from the intro, today's kind of the coffee-themed episode of the podcast, because we've got a few different things going on that we're going to talk about this week, 2 of which have to do with coffee in one form or another.
Strength, Love, Metal, hosted by Coach Raevyn Vanover. I'm not going to run through her qualifications again because I'm blanking them all out, even though I've heard them a few times. Coach Raevyn, and okay, just to say, this is much like this show. Strength, Love, Metal combines several different things that are all interests of the host, and is very much like most of the things that I recommend. The host is the main thing here. The information is important, and it's unlike this, you're actually going to learn some stuff. Strength, Love, Metal, and she gets into the if you haven't figured out, it's kind of the switch around of how I'm sorry, my brain is just right now all of a sudden, but it's kind of her take on the eat, pray, love thing. So she's got Strength, Love, Metal, and she's been using that since before the podcast started, even through her training and in education and just in general. Strength, Love, Metal has been very much the brand of Coach Raevyn for quite some time now. And so, but this show, again, multiple different elements, and it is really those big 3 things. And it is like, I guess you could say, Strength, Love, Metal is to fitness podcasts as Ignorance Was Bliss is to true crime. Yeah, it's there, and there are elements of it there, but you are not going to go listen to Coach Raevyn in this podcast as directly as a means of a fitness education thing. Is it part of the show? Yes. Is it always what she's talking about? No. And it is very much there's a lot of sort of philosophy in the show and in what she talks about. And it is those elements, and it is that love of the fitness and the metal and the life and all of the philosophies and everything that kind of come together, and how it's affected her life and what it's done for her. And she shares her personal journey through fitness and how the fitness world has changed her life, and getting into that, especially at a late age. She actually didn't get into the fitness thing and all of this until later in life, probably within the last decade. Actually, easily I couldn't tell you the exact year, but less than 10 years she's been doing the fitness thing. And this was a conscious decision she made within the last decade. And, but then how, if you are a person who is into music at all, or even a person, hell, music affects you. the music you grow up with and the music you listen to, it touches you in a certain way and it affects you there's an emotional attachment. And this is probably no more relevant or prevalent, that's the better one, than in the heavy metal community. Like metalheads, there's so much emotion and so much that is expressed through this particular style of music, because it's so wide and so varied, and you can do anything and you can express anything through heavy metal. And she gets into that and she talks about bands that have influenced her both musically and personally. And you heard in a little clip there, she just recently talked about the death of Neil Peart, the drummer from Rush. And she did an entire episode talking about his influence, both in music in general, in pop culture, in the big picture, and what his work meant to her and how it's affected her and changed her life. And there's always that sort of vibe of there's the philosophy of it, and how this fitness thing and this music thing and this personal life philosophy all come together. And it's, again, like how Ignorance Was Bliss is true crime adjacent, and Hate to Wait is weight loss adjacent, because it's not about the weight loss. It's about the journey. And Strength Love Metal is, yes, it's about some fitness. Yes, it's about music, but it's all wrapped up in this philosophical life journey, expressing beliefs and how all of this comes together to try and make you a better person all around. And really, it is so much the message of this podcast and the message that Coach Raevyn spreads through this show is so much bigger than just, oh, it's a fitness show. Oh, it's a music show. It's really not either of those. It is the combination of all of these things with her makes this a much, much deeper podcast than you would expect from a show called Strength Love Metal. Really. At face value, it is a much bigger thing than you're going to realize. Now, full disclosure, and here's something I've kind of been dancing around. If you are a longtime listener of the show, you'll have recognized that voice. Because Coach Raevyn is my sister. And she's actually been on the show twice before, actually under various things. She's actually been on the show once as just hey, we're having a big group chat party thing way back. Drinking with Family, I believe, was that episode. God, that was in the first year. That was such a fun episode. God, it was like 2.5 hours long. It was such a blast. And she sat down with her daughter talking roller derby the last time she was here. And it's funny because every time she's been on the show, it's been under a different name. But I am not featuring the show because she's my sister. I'm going to have her back on the show because she's my sister, because you know what? My sister started a podcast. Of course, I'm going to have her on the show to talk, but also because she's my sister and she's an interesting person. And the reason why I can go on like this about her podcast, and if you've listened to any of my other features of other shows, I can go on and I don't bullshit you. I'm not telling you should go listen to my sister's podcast because you should. I'm telling you, it's because you should. It's because it's like, yeah, there's the weight loss stuff in there. Not weight loss, but fitness. There's the fitness stuff and the CrossFit stuff, but it's also a lot of empowerment. And hey, if you're trying to, like in the clip, talking about fitness experts who are spewing a lot of bullshit, who are uneducated, and here's how to find a trainer or a mentor or a coach where everything is above board, who they are knowledgeable. Here's how to find a good trainer. Here, and a lot of other things. And again, the coffee bit, she did a whole thing about there was a band that one of her favorite bands made a deal with a coffee company. And so like me, she's just as much a coffee nut as I am. And so she did a tasting of their special signature blend coffee, which I kind of did with the Valhalla Java, which is the Zach Wild coffee, which is, I still say, the best damn coffee ever. And unless she goes and gives me some of her stuff, then I'm going to stand by that. But maybe we just need to do a coffee swap because I don't think she has any Valhalla on her. But yeah, again, full disclosure. Yeah, Coach Raevyn is my sister. And I generally have a rule against featuring a podcast that is this new. Because one, they could go away very quickly. Two, usually when you start a podcast, it kind of sucks. And it sucks for a while until you get your feet under you. But here's the thing. In my family, we're talkers. We're just good at it. Very few people can solo a podcast. My sister can do that, much like I do. And if you're actually listening through her intro, I didn't realize it until listening back and making that little cut. We have a lot of the same vocal tics and a lot of phrasing and pacing is very similar. And I didn't notice it. I don't notice it when we're sitting there having a conversation, but listening to her in podcast form and then sitting there editing a clip together, it's like, we have the same cadence. It's kind of funny, but I was like, I'm not going to nitpick her over audio issues and audio things because the show is brand new. She's less than 10 episodes in. This is the point where your audio is kind of crap unless you spent years developing a studio or whatever. But her audio isn't crap. It is, there's little things, and yeah, there's stuff I could nitpick about, but a lot of them come down to new podcaster jitters and just not having her flow and her rhythm down 100%. But this is a perfect example of this is her. This is Coach Raevyn. This is my sister. When you start a podcast, the first thing you should be thinking is, what are you passionate about? What can you talk about? And is this something you could talk about even if there wasn't a mic in front of you? That's what this show is. She could talk fitness and music and just weird, silly stuff like she does on the show anytime. And we do. This is all the stuff. These are the conversations and the stuff that we have whenever she just comes over and we're hanging out. So you need to check it out. Even if you're not a fitness person, even if you're not necessarily a metalhead, don't need to be. If you're not a metalhead and the music bugs you, you can skip forward 30 seconds through the intro music, whatever. But, it's absolutely worth checking out because, again, it's not about just the fitness. It's not about just the music. It's about the whole philosophy and the live, laugh, love of strength, love, metal, and the overall positivity and philosophy of the whole thing as it comes together. And it's really hard for me to put into words other than just listen to it. Really, like the first 2 episodes. And I say this, recommending the first 2 episodes of any podcast is kind of silly, just in that's when they're the most rough. But that's where the message is. And that's where you get the message from the show. Because, that's where she's explaining what it all is. That's explaining strength, love, metal. It's explaining the patron saint of underdogs and the emotional connections to different bands and different music and how they affect her and probably you. So go check out the Strength, Love, Metal podcast on all of your podcast subscription player things, wherever you listen to podcasts. Of course, links in the show notes and on the recommended listening page at odddadoutpodcast.com. But that's going to do it for me for this week. Thank you very much for putting up with me and all my inconsistencies and weirdness. Remember, you can get links to all the stuff, to all of the promos I've played, and to all of my recommended listening features at oddadoutpodcast.com. Remember to subscribe to the show on whatever podcast listening service you like, and follow me at OddDadOut on all the social medias. And if you have a podcast that you think I should check out, hit me up, show at oddadoutpodcast.com, or leave me a voicemail at 516-636-7631. That is 516-ODO-POD1. Thank you to all of my awesome Patreon supporters, including Heather from Sunshine and Power Cuts, Chris from Play Comics, Kate from Ignorance Was Bliss, and Lisa and Sam from I Shake My Head. You guys are all awesome. I need to send you guys stuff just for being awesome for so long. And if you want to be awesome like all of them and support the show, go to oddadoutpodcast.com, click the little support tab, whether you want to sign up for a monthly Patreon donation or a one-time donation through PayPal, or just buy me a coffee. It's all there. Check it out. Enough spiel, enough milking you for money. Until next week, oddballs, thank you and good night.